Backed by popular demand, I have 7 more SaaS ideas that you can steal. And in this video, I'm going to focus on AI SaaS ideas. AI is all the rage at the moment. And I asked on Twitter and you delivered with SaaS ideas. So all of the ideas that I show here today are from someone who suggested this on Twitter. I always add the disclaimer that they aren't validated and that you should do some validation before building them. And if you stick around till the end of this video, I'm going to give you a bonus idea that doesn't fit this channel's focus on B2B SaaS, but I'm sure that there are several of you out there who might be interested in building it. I'm Rob Walling, a serial entrepreneur with multiple exits. I've written 4 books on entrepreneurship, and I've invested in more than 150 startups. Our first idea comes from Garrett Lancaster. He says, I'd love to see an API that takes an arbitrary CSV or XML file and makes a best effort mapping to a provided data structure. The use case is help me import my customers' data. The thing I like about this idea is I have hand coded something just like this several times, and I have paid developers who were on salary or freelancers to build this over and over. We had it in Drip. I believe I had it in Hittail. I had it in several apps before that. This is something that LLMs should be really good at because they're good at taking dirty or muddy data and doing a pretty good job at turning them into another data structure or just interpreting the structure of a messy or dirty CSV or XML file. Idea number 2 comes from Greg Digneo, and it's a ZoomInfo type company that has some intelligence and knows what types of prospects are going to convert in your specific use case. So this would be something that sales teams or marketing teams could use to find more prospects or customers like the ones they already have. If you're not familiar with ZoomInfo, it's a huge database of businesses that you can mine as someone who is doing sales. And you can do cold outreach, you can do mailings, all types of things like that. But ZoomInfo just has basic demographics. I mean, it has pretty complex and sophisticated demographics. But what it doesn't have is built-in artificial intelligence. So the thing is do you build this over a data source like ZoomInfo, or do you have to create your own or license your own data source? I don't know, but it's pretty interesting to think about using AI to look at your existing prospects and customer base and try to figure out which other companies or prospects will be most likely to be successful with my product and narrowing down your search for new prospects to that list. Idea number 3 comes from Anant Parmar, and he's suggesting chat widgets for websites that are industry focused. So there are general solutions out there with AI built in, but I asked him, which industries are you thinking about? How are those optimized for those industries versus a general solution? And he says, that's what I'm currently exploring. Imagine chatbots for a dentist or a gym website that are different than some B2B white label chat widget that you can get from an Intercom or a Drift. And this one's interesting to me because I do think over time, AI is going to start out more general, more horizontal. And as the months and the years progress, we are going to see more specific and verticalized versions of AI learning models. Our 4th idea comes from Joris de Jong. Apologies if I'm mispronouncing your name. And his idea is an AI-powered SaaS app that helps salespeople prepare for sales calls. He suggests it could offer the following features: summary of previous meeting notes, highlighting important topics for quick reference, LinkedIn profile scan to provide valuable insights about the contact, a website scan to gather relevant information about the company, and suggestions on what you should talk about in the meeting based on the gathered data. This is super interesting. Salespeople and sales teams spend a lot of money on training, on education, and on software. There's a reason that Salesforce and HubSpot, and frankly, the entire CRM space is so massive, because there's a lot of money in sales. Will these be built into CRMs? Maybe, ultimately. But if you're first to market with something that is super powerful, could it be an interesting acquisition target for one of these larger players? Just might be. Idea number 5 comes from Hide Shidara, and he suggested a few SaaS app ideas, but I'm going to focus on one: AI pricing pages. He imagines it running split tests on pricing and copy, measuring conversion rate. There are split testing providers out there that have built AI into their model, because I tried to use one a year or 2 ago, and it wasn't great. But to focus on pricing pages from the start makes it a little more approachable, the more indie hacker type, the individual who's trying to bootstrap something. I think that if you made this work work for pricing pages, then the next step would be to expand to the entire website, the entire funnel. There's a lot of places you could go with this, but getting a wedge in and focusing on pricing pages, I think could feasibly help you train a model and train your prompts to work better because you've picked such a specific niche and you know exactly who you're marketing to. The sixth idea comes from JD Connolly. He suggested a few. The one I want to focus on is an AI QA manager, a quality assurance manager, someone who tests software. JD imagines this AI writing test plans and executing them on your site or application, given very little upfront information. So it would have to interpret what your website or your web app is trying to do, and maybe it reads a spec. Maybe it's looking at a feature description of what you're trying to build, and then writing tests. And then you, as the human, have to tell it, well, these tests are on or these tests are off. But once those tests are written and they're automated tests, there's something that can be run over and over and over again. The seventh and final idea comes from Kieran at NoCodeLife on Twitter. He suggests a detector for educators that can determine when an essay was probably written by AI. He says, I know they exist already, but I think the problem is huge and immediate, and there must be room for lots of solutions. I'd imagine there are a lot of companies that sell to educators that are already thinking about this problem. It could be an interesting problem to try to solve. An issue I see with it is I'd imagine Google and OpenAI and the other big, huge AI providers are probably going to provide something like this at some point. And so if you build it, are you going to be a commodity or just wiped from the face of the earth if and when they do? I don't know. It's an interesting idea nonetheless. In a minute, I'm going to give you a bonus idea that didn't quite fit into the B2B focus of this video. But before I do that, my new book, The SaaS Playbook, is out. You can buy it on Amazon, on Audible, or if you want me to get just a little more in royalties, go to saasplaybook.com, buy it directly from me. I only pay the 3% Stripe fee. Little known fact, I sell on Audible. They take 75% of the sales. It's incredible, even though I built, wrote, produced the book and own the whole thing. But the SaaS Playbook is out. It's all the knowledge and information I have on building SaaS companies, and it's getting rave reviews. You can head to Amazon and check out the reviews. Go to Twitter. Folks are really loving it. It means a lot to me that people are buying it and enjoying it. I hope you'll pick up a copy and review it on Amazon if you already have one. Our bonus idea today comes from Craig Hewitt on Twitter, and he says he's looking for an AI-powered personal health assistant. He'd like to see it feed you dietary information, shopping lists, get feedback from Apple Health, and iterate on your exercise, sleep requirements, and your habits. He says, I know this is a B2C app, but it's a roll-up of a bunch of disparate apps I already use, and it would be smarter under one roof. And then the first reply to this says, just anything that can tell me what my Apple Health stats mean would be good. I don't use Apple Health. This is definitely a B2C play, and I know some folks like to hear B2C ideas. If this is in your wheelhouse, maybe it's something you want to go after. If you're going to build a SaaS that's leveraging AI, there are a few questions you'll want to think through before you start building. And in this next video, I lay them out and give you a few landmines you'll want to avoid. Check it out.